just so excited for our next guest. She is multi-talented, absolutely incredible. You're not going to want to miss this. She was born and raised in China, moved to the US by herself at the age of 21 with only $1,000 and 2 suitcases back in 2004. Now, flash forward, she has an incredible job as a senior program management at Hulu. And she is also a Seattle-based comedian, writer, and dancer. I'm just so excited to hear her story. I also want to make sure that you can find her on social media. So I'm going to tell you now and again later at the end, and you're going to want to stay tuned to hear about a special event she has coming up as well. So it's Bernice Ye, and you're going to want to find her at www.berniceye.com and also on her Instagram page at Bernice Comedy. So please give a warm welcome to Bernice Ye.
Thank you so much for having me.
Of course. I'm so excited that you're on this podcast. And when I met you doing comedy before, I was like, she's cool. And I liked your jokes, but I had no idea like all of the information that I'm just so excited to hear more of your story.
Thank you, because there's no reason for you to come up sometimes. Yeah.
Yeah, like how do you mean?
In a way that, when we meet each other at an open mic, we show up, we talk about jokes, and after, usually we're just so exhausted, we go home, and so it's harder to all of a sudden start talking about dancing or like talking about, oh, what's your work? I think, but every time I get a chance to know my fellow comic, like there's always incredible story behind all the jokes. So this is a really good, we have a chance to get to know each other more.
Yeah, thank you. I totally agree with that. And I love it, when I meet somebody, I'm like, oh, that person's cool. And then I find out more. I'm like, oh, that's why I thought so. Okay, good job. So I just have to start with this. I can't help but like, as I was thinking about having you on the show, I'm thinking about what we're going to talk about. I just am struck by your bravery. That's when I was reading your bio and thinking about it, I'm like, wow, that's so brave to come at 21 and just like, it's so brave to do stand-up comedy and also to be a dancer and have intersection of these worlds with your amazing job at Hulu too. And just, do you feel that's a pretty accurate assessment to say you're a brave person? Like, do you feel it takes an amount of bravery to do what you do?
I do think like anyone who know me, brave is definitely a word I hear a lot. And in the beginning, I did not think about it. But now now that I'm older, right? So like I feel, when I was young, I just like really fearless. Like I was like, later when I think about the situation I've gone through, and it's like, wow, actually I have all the boss to do that. Okay, kudos to me. But at the time, I didn't even think about that.
Right. So, like at the time, can you like share an experience where you realize now looking back, it was actually brave, but at the time, you were just doing what you had to do or what you wanted to do?
Yeah, actually, before I even came here, so high school was like a hell time for me. It just like absolutely the most miserable time I have, because for us to go to college, we have to go through this very tough college entrance exam. So all we do is study. In high school, I get up 6 a.m. every day. We have half an hour lunch break, and so it's 12 until 6 p.m. And then we have half an hour dinner break, and then we have night study session until 9 p.m. And I go home and I study until midnight every single day. We do not have 2-day weekend. We have 1-day weekend. So that was like every day. But in the meantime, there's also like dating was not allowed. But somehow I was this rebel person, fell in love, and then I got in trouble. And he got in trouble to a point that was, I was actually I have really good grades. So the teacher have high expectation, but because of the dating part, there's so much pressure at school. And I told my mom that I cannot go to school. I have to be home and study on my own. So at that time, I had to tell my mom to tell the teacher that I'm quitting school. Like,
Wow.
6 months before that very high pressured exam. So the teacher basically told me in my face, it's like, there's no way you can get into good school, like the top university, if you do this. And so there's tremendous amount of pressure from teacher, from school, from my family, because they have expectation that I would do very well. But now I did this stupid thing. Luckily, my mom actually believed in me. Just like, I always feel when you feel strong about something, that you usually have the right judgment. So my mom actually signed a paper at the school.
Oh,
So I
wow.
studied at home using my own way. And I actually ended up went to like what is number one or number two is like the Peking University.
Uh-huh.
So most Americans don't know, but it's like the for the Chinese, it's like the Harvard of Chinese universities.
Oh,
But
wow.
but I did what I had to do. I wasn't thinking about brave. I was just like survival.
Mhm.
Yeah. But then
Yeah.
later I said, gosh, like what if I didn't get to the school? Because in China, if you don't get to university, you cannot find a job. And then you have to go do high school another year again. So you're the only one from the previous year, and everybody know you're everybody know you're a failure. So
Wow. Oh, wow. That's a lot
yeah.
of pressure. I mean, I can relate in the sense of the things that I've done in my life that people have said, "Oh, Samantha, that was so brave." I felt the exact same way. I felt like survival to me. It's like, this is what, with X, Y, and Z in place, this is my option. That's
Yes.
what it seemed like. And
Yes.
you just do it because it has to get done.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
I was desperate in a way.
Yeah.
So because of all that tremendous pressure and then like how society wanted to be, when I want to come to America, I really wanted to be here. I want to be away. I wanted to be away from parents and school. And then you're young, you're stupid, and at the time you think you're better than your parents. Yeah. So at the time, I wasn't, even though I was stressed and worried, I was worried. But then in the meantime, I feel like I would much prefer to do that now than be stuck and in the environment everybody told me what to do.
Yeah. Wow. Okay. And so when you came over here, did you feel like you were able to get on your feet pretty quickly, or what, like, what was that like?
In a way, it was lucky. So I applied for graduate school. I got admitted to Purdue. So my first stop is Indiana. And they have a really good international student program. So like it's very well thought of. So in my class, we have students from all over the place, from Poland, from India, from like like Turkey, and every place is a melting pot. You wouldn't think about that when you think about Indiana. And
Right.
then our school, they have a international student onboarding like a ambassador.
Uh-huh.
So ambassador. So she would organize like weekend event, like have party at her house, and then do a tour bus to Chicago. So I guess in a way that the first month when we get in, you feel welcomed. You feel like there's somebody you can go to with questions, and you have some other international student with a similar struggle. So that definitely helped. It is probably after a while when you realize, oh, there's study school. I was doing teaching assistant, so I got paid through school every month, but the teacher was very, very demanding. So I come in, didn't quite know how to speak English, and I have to study the English as a second language so that I can be more effective at TA, and
Mm-hmm.
and then also do the basic the school work. So that's the time you get really stressed about. It's like you got to do everything, and then I don't have enough time, and I don't even know how to order food in a restaurant.
Oh. Oh, right. And then they probably didn't have Postmates and all that, because
Yeah, no.
this is a more recent development,
Yeah.
all the online ordering. Oh, wow.
Yeah, I remember I have to, when I go buy grocery shopping, because I didn't have a car, so I have to take a bus like an hour away in the cold to go to Walmart, and then an hour walk to the bus stop and then come back. So
Oh, and it's
definitely.
so cold. It's so cold over there. I remember back in, because I went to Northwestern and I didn't have my car there, but my roommate had a car. But I never knew when I was going to get to go grocery shopping because of
Yeah.
that. So I'd always stock up. You'd think I was preparing for like quarantine because I'd come back with so much food. Yeah. Oh
That's
my
why we're
goodness.
pros now.
Definitely. So okay, so with your dancing, because you were dancing, that was the first performing art you got involved with, is that right? Dancing?
Yes. Mhm.
And how early did you begin?
So when I was back then as a kid, I always loved dancing, but earlier in China, they were like, "Oh, you're too fat. You don't have the dancer's body. Why would you even spend any time dancing?" It's different than the Asian American stereotype where you think, "Oh, they're always like learning music or dance." At the time when I grew up, China was very poor, so we're very focused on studying like math or the subject that will be tested for you to get to college. And obviously my parents also didn't want me to dance, so I guess in college there is because once you get to college and the pressure is off a little bit.
Yeah.
And there is
Right.
a hip hop dance club, so I started to dance there, and it just like mostly freestyle. But the earlier days, my dad really loved the Michael Jackson, so he bought those like pirated DVD, like, and I've been like learning moves on my own, like dance with Michael Jackson. So that's how I got started, even before I start to take classes.
Awesome. So cool. So, what was it that you love so much about dance?
Yeah, that's an excellent question, because sometimes I like it's something you don't need to think about it, but I feel like the best time when I'm dancing, like you just forget about yourself. Like it's almost there's something take over, and then you are so present, and then I think it just like my body would move, but it does not come from my brain, right? Like it just I have to somehow forget about whatever is going on, and it should be fully embraced with the music, but then you're so in the present of what everything is going on, so I feel
Yeah.
very free. I think that's probably how I feel
Yeah.
when I dance.
And how does comedy, because I know you obviously, you're a comedian too, and do you feel like just as passionate about comedy, or it's like, it's just a little bit different, like in comparison to how much you love dance and how free you feel when you're doing dance? What's the experience like doing comedy, and how do you get into it?
Yeah, I comedy, there's a lot of things have in common, I feel, with dance performers. But there's also the difference. Where do you want me to start?
I know I piled on a lot of questions right there. Let's start with how you got into comedy.
How I got into comedy. I actually just thought about one thing I forgot. I have always have a fear over public speaking. Um, I have always thought of myself that I'm not good at making a toast or talking in front of a crowd. And um, I actually have to like I met career coach that I mentioned this, and she through some of the coaching, and we really draw down into why I think this way. And the part of that is when I was a kid, my mom would take me to those like Chinese banquet. Sometimes it's a family banquet, sometimes it's a business banquet, and I was always she will say, "Hey, make a toast." So I'm always under the pressure to all of a sudden call on the spot to make a toast. And I do not care about those people. And it's always like, because all the other kids, I don't know, like they're very good. They will say, wish this person like a prosperity, wish this person live forever. Or, like maybe I care about my grandparents, but
Right.
I'm not very good at saying the over exaggerated sweet things,
Right.
because I didn't feel like that. And so when I do not say all these words, my mom will shame, like will say, oh no, she's just not good. She's really shy and she doesn't know how to do this. And so that reinforced to me that I'm not good at making a toast. So this coach got me to like try Toastmasters. This is very supportive environment. And I remember the first time I went to, I just like made a commitment, just like do something, don't shy away. And I won the humor speech like it Toastmaster right on the first try, and I was like, oh my god, like really. And I also remember there one time I went to a city council hearing, like contest hearing, because I think they're trying to build tear down a complex in my my like city area. And at the time I just like, I'm just going to go there and say what I say, but somehow I made it funny. So like there's a bunch of crowd people were like they were laughing, but they're also applauding. I was like, oh, I was very insecure about my English. I just really wanted to get my message across.
Yeah.
But I like got a bunch of people like laughing and applauding, and it's like you get that high,
Yeah.
and then from that energy, and then so maybe there's something I've been always doubted about myself, but I can do. So in parallel, I also started to watch a lot of like Netflix comedy special. I never thought about doing comedy, but at nighttime I wash my face, like doing my skin routine. It takes so long that the comedy special is perfect to watch. So like a year or two, I watched enough stand-up comedy, and then I started to notice it used to be just a lot of white male comics and talking about subject I do not really relate to. I do not really find all that funny.
Right.
A lot of times also because I don't know a lot of the American pop culture reference. Later I saw there's more like diversity, different people of color. There's like, when I saw Ali Wong, it's like that's probably that era is the first really successful Asian female comic, and then she's talking about topics that I relate to.
Yeah.
And I realized those are the things I think about in the shower all the time. So in 2018, I made a New Year's resolution that, you know what, I'm just going to go to one open mic, just do it like by the end of the year.
Yeah.
And because of I made that like commitment, by February I signed up for a class, and I did my first, like the recital and the open mic, and just continued. And then I really liked it.
That's awesome. Do you have that sense, like with dance, you get that wonderful sense of freedom and, getting out of your head. So when you do stand up, I can definitely hear that, like it brings you joy and you get like that sort of confidence and adrenaline boost. Do you have a sense of freedom, or how does that feel like for your body or internally in comparison to dance?
I think comedy is way more brutal. Yes. Because when I dance, like even if people don't applaud or laugh, I do that for myself. I feel great. Comedy, you are there to entertain. You are like, if it's not funny, it's not comedy. it's TED Talk at the best, right? So it's very humbling. Like you think, oh, you're funny and you're this, and you go there and the people don't laugh. It's like you just want to find a hole, dig on the ground, hide yourself. But in the meantime, that's also why it's so challenging. Like you work, you try different things, and you know how hard it is. You have failed, but when all the hard work make it happen, the reward is just so high. Yeah,
it's true. And like that sort of instant feedback when when somebody really enjoys your set and they let you know that you made their day or something, it just feels like, oh, that hard work pays off. But I agree. I feel that for me, stand-up is the most terrifying art form that I've done so far, of, like singing, acting. I've done some dance and, well, I guess visual arts, but, but by far, like stand-up, most terrifying, most terrifying. But I've definitely learned so much that then I can infuse into the other things as well. I feel like it's helped me be not so precious about things in terms of, oftentimes with like acting or writing or something, maybe you're like, oh, but I want to do it this way. And I envisioned it this way for this, that, or the other thing. And like, you have your reasons and this and that and all of your research for the time that you spent on it. And you know what, like with stand up, okay, cool. But if it's not working, like you said, the audience isn't laughing, just cut it out and move on. It's like next, like
Yeah.
you can like just really level with yourself in this way.
Yeah. I think it's like a lot of is letting go ego and
Yes.
be vulnerable. In a way, I found it's just so therapeutical.
Mm-hmm.
Because a lot of times, like I like there's a topic you talk about. I found when you go deeper and where you're most fair, where you cause most pain. And
Mm-hmm.
sometimes I know I didn't even want to go there to visit, but the fact that I'm able to relive that memory and then like make fun of it, poke fun of it is a self-healing process. You know,
Yeah.
like sometimes maybe not everything turned into the best joke ever, but even going through that process, it helped me to be better, to accept my past. But a lot of
Oh,
times those deep topics, if you can make it funny, usually is the one that touch people's heart the most, which I found even more rewarding. Like every time there's somebody connect over those material and they will come back and tell me how they felt, and that just like it means everything.
yeah. Oh, I love that. Yeah, those sort of very tender, very vulnerable, and at times, if you're not careful, potentially painful moments. But then you like kind of, like decluttering all of the extra stuff to get back to
Yeah.
that spot, shine some light on it, be able to have a laugh and share that, like share the moment with the audience and how it's healing for you and also the audience.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
Yeah. I think
yeah.
that one I can get more connection
Mhm.
through comedy than dancing. I guess part of is like maybe for dancing, I just mostly use it as my hobby.
Mhm.
I'm less treating dance as like comedy, something like absolute passion that I have um control over in creating.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Awesome. I'm like, oh, what do I even follow this up with? I just like to live in these moments sometimes. It's like, let me just swim in this moment for a bit. Oh, it's so okay. Okay. So you know what? I think let me talk about okay. I'm curious how, because it sounds like I actually don't I mean I know the title of your job, senior program management lead at Hulu, right? And it definitely sounds super impressive, of course, with your educational background and whatnot, like number one school that you went to, right? Um, I don't actually know what do you do? It sounds potentially intense.
um, it can be, but at this point, I think a lot of times you balance your work and life.
Uh-huh.
So what I do, so Hulu, I mean, I guess most of the people in North America knows our brand now. When I joined, actually, I have to explain. No, it's like Netflix, but the other one.
Right.
So 5 years at the Hulu, definitely we've grown a lot.
Mhm.
I'm more on the technology side. So the Hulu application you use on your phone, on your like Xbox or like TV, Apple TV, all this application.
Mhm.
I work with the team to build the different features. And then 5 years at Hulu, I've worked many different areas. So now I manage 6 program managers. Well, oops, it's five program managers, 6 including myself. five, five program managers, and then each of us, we usually from time goes by, the different projects will come in, but a lot of times like we want to do a new feature, enable a new thing. So for example, Hulu used to only have the on demand, but in about 2 years ago we did live TV. So we have all the live sports and live channels, and so I was leading one of the effort to enable live playback to make that happen on Hulu
Oh, cool.
app.
Do you find that like, well, because listening to what you're saying too about how you're growing up and having these really, very long days at school and then 2 at college. And now you're probably just so good at juggling things, right? That it probably feels like a little bit natural to have your sort of studies, like day job kind of thing, and then your artistic outlet stuff that you do around the time. Is that
Now that you
fair?
mentioned it, I feel like that must have helped. Definitely a lot of juggling, but a lot of time it's still not easy. It's still not easy.
No,
And I have a lot of anxiety that is like, I want to do this, I want to do that. But then I have to come back and tell myself, it's like, okay, there is time. Like, just don't go crazy.
right.
Most of the time is I'm just genuinely excited for something, and I decide to do it. But then there's another thing coming up. I'm also very excited, so I'm just trying to figure out on the spot, how do I fit in everything I wanted to do.
Right.
Yeah, but every once in a while, I will have to declare bankruptcy. It's like, no, today I don't do anything. I just
right.
Yeah.
You need to like get your energy levels back up.
Yeah.
Right. And I could relate to that because I suppose the busyness that I had in growing up in school and college, all of that was all my doing. There were times where my mom would tell me, like, Samantha, relax, take a day off. Like, yes, listeners, viewers, I will tell you that so I have this joke about like how I wasn't a nerd. I just got really upset if I got a B, at least I have. But I seriously, I remember in high school, my mom was like, oh, okay, another straight A's. Let's give you, what do you want for your surprise? Do you know what I got? Do you know what I asked for?
What did you ask?
A lamp, so that I could have something to study next to even better, to like have a more enjoyable study time.
Oh my God. You're like the only other person like I met like have that, like, because when I was a kid, my parents would beg me to watch TV. I wouldn't watch TV. I said, no, I want to study. Like, I would lock myself in a room. I role play as a teacher. So I'm teaching me, like I'm like role playing a teacher, teaching myself like a class, like just so stupid, but like
no, it's effective. It helps you learn it, right?
Yeah.
I definitely, well, and my mom's a teacher too, so I definitely had a good stretch of time in my childhood where I would pretend to be a teacher.
Oh my God.
Then when I was in, I think, first grade, I taught the kid down the street from me how to read. And then he followed it up with a marriage proposal. So from an early age, I learned it's good to be smart.
But, awesome.
I mean,
that boy have good taste.
Good for him. I don't know where he is now, but no, the proposal was many years too soon. But no, that was a fond memory. But I'm just thinking that like now, and then like high school, all the extracurriculars and stuff, and like college with theater and everything, the full course load, work study, and then plays, all the plays I could do. And one time I remember I was just so exhausted, but I didn't know I was exhausted because I was so excited. It's like, give me more hours of the day. I want to learn more. I lived, this was at the time I was off campus. I lived about 2 miles away. I think it was about 2 miles away. And, I fell asleep on my bike when I was riding it home.
Oh my God.
I didn't know I was tired, but my body.
I didn't know that's possible, but you must be really tired.
I guess I was. And I stopped riding it out just to, for safety. But I've definitely sidetracked. I just got so excited about this. Yeah, like matching up here. So what I'm curious about is how, because, whenever we do one thing, it can have like an amazing effect of how it seeps into the rest of our lives, especially if we're going to be, spend the time to be aware of that or grow that a bit more. I'm curious how, once you started doing stand-up, did you notice any impact that had on like your day-to-day life or the way that you are in your regular job or relationships or anything like that?
So how doing stand-up helped? A lot of that is be comfortable with fair, right? So I think, like to this day, I still like, I think part of that is also from dancing as well. Like every time before I go on stage, my heart is still pumping hard. Like in the beginning, I thought that maybe like you will go away, but somebody also told me it's like, it's actually a good thing. Sometimes have that little bit nervous energy when you go on stage, you release because you care.
Right.
But it's always like not that comfortable, you know, like you just get this rabbit in your stomach. I don't know, it's that's the English. But then like there's also the moment of you go on stage and then that also just went away. Like I never really thought about, oh, my heart is pumping. So doing this more and more make me just be comfortable with not knowing and fear. And then there are times I also you know, like I don't want to do something. Sometimes I'm just really tired. I do not want to go there. And there's also there are places for stand up. Well, actually there's another side, so we'll cover that later. I think it just like being, there are times I did not want to go, but because I signed up for it. And I don't want to break a commitment because that's a bad thing. So I go, but I have never regretted to. So sometimes I need a little bit like pressure to push me over the fence. On the other hand, I actually comedy helped me to reconnect with my own heritage, because I, as I mentioned earlier, when I first came to America, I did not had a great time growing up in China. So I had a lot of rejection of my own culture and identity, right? Like there's the part, I think just really beautiful part of Chinese history and culture. There's also the part of politics and how there are also things I really do not like, but I discard it as a whole. As I do comedy and I start to go back and revisit like some of my own story, because you build a story in your head and you draw a much bigger conclusion. And then when I go back and revisit, I'm able to detangle a lot of that. I'm able to forgive a lot of my parents and family. You build empathy because we're all human here. We all make terrible mistakes. And when I was able to let go of that, I'm much able to appreciate a lot of my culture and my own heritage. And I feel proud to be a Chinese.
Yeah, that's awesome. So I currently, one of my students is in China, and it would be I would just love for her to hear this at some time, but I don't know if it's appropriate for me to say like, listen to this, but maybe she'll just come across of it on her own. You know, she's so smart and she is very busy. And I didn't know like how much of that was like part of the culture, but in terms of like the pressure to, you know, with all the studies and everything, but it's, I'm just like super moved right now. So, yeah. So you posted something on Facebook the other day and I might actually just like tear up a little bit. So, and I just saw that it was something about your eyes. Do you feel like comfortable like talking about that?
Yeah, totally. So that article I wrote is actually, it really is ongoing. It's something that has been bugging me for a very long time, and my mom and I fight for a very long time, because I think like in Asia culture, like Asians in Asia, that we're obsessed with double-lid eyes. So because in America, we're known to have the stereotypical smaller eyes, but apparently in Asia, we all want to have those big and double eyelid eyes. And I remember even when I was a kid, like my mom would ask me, all right, I don't know if this, you can cut it later, but my mom would ask me to do this every day so that my eyes will be bigger. Yeah. So like every day I brush my teeth and she was like, your eyes are too small. Your eyes are too small. You need to be bigger. Do this. And then also like she was be telling me that your eyes are ugly. You are so smart. You're good at so many things, but I worry about you because your eyes are too small. And I think for her, is actually genuine. She's not even trying to be critical, but that's just how society is, right? And she has small eyes. So she feel insecure about her own eyes, and my eyes look just like her. So she have this guilt about like, oh, I really don't want my daughter's eyes look like this. And I was just scared. I feel like this, so normally they will put you to do a double eyelid surgery, and I was scared of the surgery. I also feel insecure about my eyes. So I said, well, what if I wear glasses? Because my mom actually said, maybe you wear glasses, then your eyes look better. So sometimes she will take a photo and then she will put a glass on me, find the one with no prescription. And so later when I go to middle school, all the kids getting nearsighted because I study hard. So like I probably will have bad eyes. So I faked it. I told my mom I cannot see the chalkboard. So she took me to the eye doctor. But the machine will come up, the computerized the test. My eyes are fine. So I will have to say, no, that's not right. And so I have to do another round of the test with the doctor with the board. I just faked it. Like I can see it, but I said, no, I can't see. Until I have like negative like 400 prescription. Because I didn't know how far you would go, right? So I need to go pretty far. So I was perfect vision, wearing negative 400 prescription. That whole time was wearing that glasses.
Can you even see anything? Negative 400?
I can, but I was very, like, I have headaches all the time.
Oh my goodness. Oh.
Yeah, so like I only had it fixed up after I moved. Once I'm at Purdue and they have the see an eye doctor at a school clinic, and it's like, your prescription is not right. It's like completely off. Are you crazy?
Oh, well, so how is it now? Did that do like irreparable damage to your vision, like having headaches and stuff with the wrong prescription for that while?
So over the years, it's funny because like ever since then, my prescription have been decreasing because, if you wear those glasses for a long time, your eyes actually, the shape of your eyes changed.
Yeah.
So immediately I was downgraded to like negative 225. And then now I'm 125. So like when I'm not wearing glasses, I'm like pretty all right. And the doctor said, good news is as you become older, you will just have perfect vision.
Well, that is pretty awesome to have perfect vision. Oh my goodness. So I think in your article too, you were talking about like your relationship with your eyes. It's changed now, right?
Yeah. And a lot of that really have to do with, that's my first interaction in America. Why is it so positive? Because it's a completely strange country. I don't know anyone, but it's like the first time I have anyone compliment my eyes. There are people say you have beautiful eyes, and that really, like, I don't know, it's almost like I was 21 then, and all my life everyone around you were like, in China it's also different. People criticize your parents publicly. A stranger will come tell you your eyes are not pretty. People make fun of you, and so all of a sudden you come to a country and people actually say your eyes are beautiful. And to me, that really build confidence. And it takes a while because some of them is like, oh, this person is being nice. But then I also start to look at how people are being embraced the way you are, and that changes on a lot of things. There's a lot of self-acceptance that start to happen, but in the meantime, in the beginning I was still not that comfortable, not that confident. Even people compliment me, so I actually used to do even heavier eyeliner. And then my mom also hated my eye makeup because in a way that I'm trying to also please her, but she will criticizing me, your eye makeup is too heavy. And so before I do eye makeup is kind of try to hide my eyes. And now I don't wear makeup. Some days I feel good, and some days I wear my eye makeup and I also feel good. It's definitely evolving way. Yeah.
That's awesome. I mean, thanks for sharing that.
Thank you. Yeah,
Of course.
it's still something like I talk about now. Now you got me teared up too.
I'm sorry. I just like it's one of it's so obviously I have like a lot of reasons for the reason why I'm doing my coaching business, and the reason why this podcast is here, and the reason I'm so happy that you and some of the other guests are willing to share your stories and be on here. But I deeply believe in the transformative healing properties of the performance arts and how they can make us feel like more of ourselves, whether or not somebody does it professionally. And there are some of these amazing healing moments we have when we get to be our whole selves and just not have to have judgment, so there's hearing, you tell your story about how stand-up is helping you get back, shedding some light on some of those things. I can definitely relate to that myself. But then also, with the appearance thing, especially if we don't look like whatever society says the model is supposed to be, and some of the unfortunate beliefs that we take on that aren't even ours.
Mm-hmm.
And what a relief it is to be able to shed it. I got made fun of for the size of my forehead when I was a kid. And I will say, looking back at some of the pictures, I did have to grow into it a little bit. And I definitely had this defense mechanism I would use of just, well, that's because I have a superior brain.
Yes.
Like, I wouldn't need a big forehead if I was as dumb as you. I mean, that was not a very nice thing to say, but it was just like, you're not going to hurt me by making fun of my forehead. And for a lot of years, I did feel self-conscious about it, until, of all people, a modeling agent told me, why are you covering up your forehead? You have a beautiful heart-shaped face. Do you know how rare that is?
Wow.
It's just something how people's words, whether they injure us or whether they help to wipe away that false belief,
Yes.
Let's just stick with the one that makes us feel better.
And then I really also learned, like, people who say negative things about you, they made a judgment on you. It's a lot that's come from them. Like, my mom was so picky about my eyes because she was very insecure about her own eyes, and she does not feel beautiful. So, like, it's like, and then if somebody come in to compliment you, it's like they don't have that burden. So I start also to learn that, like, don't let other people's judgment to hurt me, because a lot of times it reflects how they feel.
Yes, 100%.
And see beauty where we like see where your forehead is so beautiful, and then we see that.
Thank you. But
it's true.
It's the end now. I'm like, oh, but it's like some of the things that, and too, for parents, I can't say for your mom specifically, obviously, but what are the things that our parents have told us, because it's to them, especially at their time where they are being raised, and in that time of history, those survival elements where they just want to make our lives easier.
Yes. Yeah, they're protective, right?
Yeah. But I mean, unfortunately, sometimes it can have a damaging effect. But like the place that it's coming from might be a good intention.
Yeah. And then in a way that I feel like stand-up comedy is very, like, has been helping me a lot to forgive those, like, I have a much better relationship with my mom now. I think a lot of times it is, for me, it's looking at the human side of her, and being able to see where she come from, in return, that I can forgive her. And sometimes it's like you forgive so much, and the emotion you originally had, it went away, and that bit you're like, not feeling it anymore. So that's the bad part. But overall, I would still not trade anything for that.
Yeah. Awesome. Well, thank you so much. So before we wrap this up, I definitely want to make sure that we get out this information. You have a pretty amazing show coming up. Well, you have a few shows coming up. Friday, August 21st, right? Friday Night Funnies. And then Thursday, September 24th.
Yes.
Is that right?
Yes.
Hot Medusa Comedy Show. So again, you could find her shows at www.berniceye.com. or at her Instagram page, at Bernice Comedy. And there's a big fundraiser that she's organizing online, which is really amazing. Can you tell us a little bit more about that one?
Totally. So this show, like, okay, first of all, I'm not even on it because I usually don't say I'm not good enough, but I actually it's like I'm not even good enough for the show, but I'm producing it. And so this fundraising is for we're doing an online comedy show for this nonprofit called No Limits for Deaf Children. I would say I'm very ignorant when it comes to the deaf community, but at Hulu, in the month of August, we're using our time to like help with nonprofit and give back to the community. And I got to know one of the organization called No Limits for Deaf Children when they come and we're doing a brainstorming session. I was immediately touched by them because first of all, they have a spokeswoman, Kathy Buckley, who is a deaf comedian. How amazing is that? And so she talks about her experience, like how she learned to speak, and she's so funny. Like you don't need to like move the deaf away. She's just like really funny comedian with a lot of heart and life experience. And then I also learned that like a lot of the children who are deaf, like now they can all get like surgery and they can hear sound, but it's very difficult for them to learn how to speak and then fit in, and be successful. And this organization like is really doing everything they can, and then like they show that how the children hear their mom's voice for the first time, and that just melted my heart. So with all this, I said too much. So anyway, so what's happening is on Thursday, September 17th, we're going to do this comedy show. You can buy tickets online, and all the ticket sales goes to the nonprofit organization. And then a lot of the employee, like if your employer will do a matching, like a lot of my Hulu coworkers, Hulu will do the matching, and then we'll also like, so we can raise more funds. And the lineup, we have Kathy as a headliner, and I secured a really impressive lineup of comedians from all over the place because the pandemic now, so right. I can get comedians from all over the place. So more details to follow.
Oh, amazing. Yes, so definitely don't want to miss that one. September 17th at 7 p.m. Yeah.
Yeah, and I will post this on so because we're building the website, so I will use my program management skills to make it very smooth and well produced. So that there will be a web page so you can buy ticket, and I will post on social and my website soon to come.
Oh, awesome. Thank you so much. Thank you again so much for being a guest today. I learned so much. And
thank you so much, Samantha. This is like amazing conversation. Thank you so much for having me. Of course,
my pleasure. Absolutely. You guys, thank you also for tuning in and listening, or you're listening to your podcast or watching on YouTube. If you liked it, please like, subscribe, and share. Let's help get the word out. And if you yourself or somebody who's looking for performance coaching to help improve and empower their lives in voice, body, and mind, you can always reach me at beyondtechniquecoaching@gmail.com. Thanks so much, and stay safe and stay healthy.